Hello, today I'm going to be discussing how I got a 1590 on the SAT, and this will be a short yet comprehensive guide in acing the SAT. So the first thing that you need to do is to utilize the right resources to use when studying for the SAT. The majority of prep books such as Princeton Reviews or Kaplan are not really helpful. Those types of prep books instead focuses on giving you questions that aren't really necessarily that related to the SAT. So thus I recommend to stick with these three resources for your SAT practice. The first one is the College Panda SAT Math book. The second is Oracle Motzler's reading book, and finally the College Panda's writing book. You can also find all of these linked on my website, Surmount.one, if you guys want a free PDF of each of these resources. So the secret formula that I've utilized when I took the SAT was, firstly, I took a practice test to evaluate my skills. So after the practice test, I made a thorough plan on which days I will be dedicating to study for each of the sections of the SAT. So let's say, so this week I'll be focusing on the maths, and next week I'll be focusing on writing, and thus you gotta make these strict but doable plans leading up to your SAT tests. So you have to utilize these books that I've mentioned, the College Panda Maths, Writing, and Erica Meltzer's reading book, along with real SAT practice tests to succeed. You shouldn't use practice tests given by, let's say, Princeton Review, but instead use the actual ones that the College Board gives out for free. And afterwards, if you're done with the practice tests, you should move on to the QASs, or the question and answer service questions practice tests, which are actually tests that have been taken previously. So make sure you take practice tests routinely. So ideally, if you have it upcoming, maybe once per week. But however, if you're maybe a junior and you want to take it easy, once a month or once per 2 months will be okay. Also, you have to dedicate a notebook as your quote-unquote correction notebook to write down any mistakes or questions that you feel a little bit tipsy about. So if you want to learn more about utilizing a correction note, please watch my correction notes video on YouTube. And finally, you should join my Discord community to ask questions, receive one-on-one tutoring, and daily help. So a lot of YouTubers mention Khan Academy, and a lot of people really encourage students to utilize Khan Academy for their SAT practices. But I personally use Khan Academy for my prep before, but from my experience, I don't really recommend it unless you need those basic fundamentals to be built. Because once you start leveling up to, let's say, level 3 to level 4, some questions are quite inaccurate in regarding the accuracy of what's actually on the SAT test. And additionally, if you do grind those practices out, questions do get repetitive. And yeah, so only utilize Khan Academy if you aren't really sure of a specific subunit and you really need basic questions to kind of familiarize yourself with the concept. But if you're trying to master and fully understand each of the topics, I don't really recommend you guys to use Khan Academy, but instead use College Panda or the other resource which I'll be talking later on this presentation. So here it is. So if you're done with College Panda, I'd recommend you guys to give URoad a try. So URoad is a paid subscription service, which is like a website. It's like Khan Academy, but here questions also tend to be harder, like Khan Academy, but instead they're quite accurate in what's gonna be on the SAT. Also, you can categorize them into subunits, thus allowing you to focus on areas that you are struggling on. So if you aren't reaching your target score, after you've completed, let's say, college mathematics, and you understand every concept and questions behind the textbook, then you should give UWorld a try to reach those 780 to 800 scores on the math section. So regarding time management, this is really a common problem that a lot of people have, especially on my Discord server. So time management may be difficult when you first start taking the SAT, but with time I found that it will improve. If you constantly take the SAT practices, then you get used to the format, and thus your time will improve. However, if you are really concerned about time management, you should check out my blog on my website Surmount.one for a specific guide in time management in the reading section. So the goal of time management and why it's so important is it's because optimally you would aim to have enough time to go back to each of the sections to double check your answers. So let's say you did your reading passage, your literature passage for your reading, and let's say you are not kind of sure of question number 1. If you utilize your time efficiently, you can go back to question 1 and double check your answers. This may save up to 50 points for some people. So utilizing your time is really paramount in the SAT. So if you aren't sure of a question, even if it's like you're 90% sure but 10% unsure, then you must write them down to your correction notes. This is because every mistake happens for a reason. If you don't understand exactly and completely why you missed that question, you will make that mistake over and over again. Thus, it is important to question yourself why you missed the question and write it down. Also, you should not forget to categorize each question into the subsections. Let's, for example, if you're talking about maths, maybe you missed the question in the linear equations subsection. So you should also write the categories down. The reason behind this is if you have committed a lot of time in your correction notes, you can look through your correction notes and find a common topic, maybe a common topic or subsection where you're particularly struggling in it. So let's say if you flip back into your correction notes and you realize that you're having trouble with linear equations, then you can plan accordingly and work on linear equations specifically. So yeah, that's it for today, and that's how I've achieved the 1590. There will be more videos up, including videos regarding each section and tips on each section. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it useful. And yep, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.